Today on Steelers Talk, the Cleveland Browns made another trade last night. It impacts their divisional matchup versus the Pittsburgh Steelers this Sunday. Then Aaron Rodgers had his weekly media availability and had some very interesting comments about the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. And then we'll finish up today's show with a TJ Watt stat that every Steelers fan should know. So make sure you guys stick around to see what that is. But before we get into the content today, guys, make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Thank you guys so much for helping us pass the Browns report in our sub battle. Yesterday, we now have a 5-subscriber lead thanks to the people that clicked that subscribe button yesterday, but I can guarantee you right now, Joey O'Donohue, our new Browns host here at Chat Sports, is definitely pushing to take that lead back. So do not let these Browns fans take that lead back. We provide you guys in-depth Steelers coverage every single day on this channel. So if you guys want to help us beat the Browns and you want free Steelers coverage every single day, help us get to 100,000 subscribers. We are knocking right on the door. We're about 1,000 subscribers away from 100K. Click that subscribe button right now to help us beat the Browns. So last night, the Browns made another trade this week. They traded Joe Flacco to the Cincinnati Bengals earlier this week. They traded for Cam Robinson the week before. So this is now the third trade that they have made over the last two weeks. Now trading Greg Newsome, one of their starting corners, to the Jaguars in exchange for another corner, Tyson Campbell. So kind of an interesting trade here. Campbell, somebody that's known as kind of more of like an aggressive, physical man corner. He's a better tackler than Greg Newsome is. Comes to the Cleveland Browns, and they get a 7th-round pick. And then the Jaguars get Newsome, who's a good fit for their kind of off-zone kind of system they run there in Jacksonville. And he's a little bit more physically gifted, at least in my opinion, compared to Campbell. And they get a 6th-round pick. So personally, I think the Jaguars probably won this deal, but honestly, I think both teams probably got what they wanted out of this trade because, Tyson is more of a physical man type of corner. The Cleveland Browns like to play more man than Jacksonville does, and Newsome was never really a fit, and Jim Schwartz's defense has really struggled ever since Schwartz took over as their defensive coordinator. I think he's going to be quite a good player for Jacksonville in kind of that Jeff Hafley kind of off-zone quarters-heavy defense that they run there in Jacksonville. So I think this trade makes sense in the long run and in the big picture for both parties here, but this definitely affects the Pittsburgh Steelers game here in Week 6 because, of course, the Steelers play the Cleveland Browns, and if Cleveland is not going to be able to do as many disguises with a new corner in there, because the thing that you got to know about the Cleveland Browns defense, guys, is that they run a lot of pre-snap disguises and post-snap rotations. You're going to be interjecting a new corner into this defense this week. That probably means that Cleveland's not going to be as creative with some of their pre-snap looks as they usually are under defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz. And then if they don't play Tyson Campbell and they want to ramp him up for a week and they don't play him, that means you get a major downgrade at number 2 corner, which of course benefits the Pittsburgh Steelers. Aaron Rodgers in his media availability yesterday kind of detailed what the Cleveland Browns usually like to do under Jim Schwartz. He said, quote, "It's how many guys they can get, 8 guys in the box and still play coverage." That's kind of a staple of a Jim Schwartz defense. It's an 8-man pre-snap presentation, but they play too high out of it. That's the thing. And in years past, they've played not too high differently. They have a lot of different defenses from the same looks. It's a defense that works really well together on the back end as far as disguises. So with a new player being interjected here in Tyson Campbell, you would assume that he's not up to date, especially with the chemistry side of things, in terms of when to deploy these disguises, how to deploy these post-snap rotations. And with a new guy in there, I think the playbook, especially when it comes to these kind of exotic looks that Jim Schwartz likes to go to, it's going to shrink, and it's going to make things a little bit more diagnosable pre-snap for Aaron Rodgers, which is obviously a huge advantage for the Pittsburgh Steelers offense because Rodgers is one of the best pre-snap processors in the history of the National Football League. So I think that this trade actually helps the Pittsburgh Steelers' chances of winning this week. And I'm looking forward to seeing what this defense with Jim Schwartz looks like, whether they play Campbell, whether they sit him, how that's going to look. But either way, I think it benefits the black and gold this week. So let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. How does this trade make you feel about Sunday? Do you feel better about it or worse? Type B if you feel better, or type W if you feel worse after the Cleveland Browns traded for Tyson Campbell last night. This will be the pinned comment on today's show. So in just a second here, guys, I'm going to tell you about our sponsor at Ethos. And while I'm telling you about Ethos today, let Let me know down there in the comment section how you feel about Sunday after this latest Browns trade. And with that, let's have a word from our sponsor today at Ethos. And guys, the summer before I started here at Chat Sports, unfortunately, my family lost my late grandfather. And as you tend to do when you lose a loved one, you begin to think about your own mortality and what would happen to the people dependent on you if something were to happen. With today's sponsor, Ethos, your family can be protected. Cassie and I are getting married soon, and shortly after that, I imagine we'll buy a house and start having some kids. If something were to happen to me, I want the last thing the people I love to worry about is being able to pay the bills, so I trust Ethos to keep them protected. As you probably already know, however, the process for obtaining life insurance can be super confusing or just straight up annoying with how tedious the process can be. That's where our friends at Ethos come in. As of March of 2025, Business Insider named Ethos the #1 no medical exam instant life insurance provider. Ethos is an online platform that makes getting life insurance fast and easy to protect your family's future in minutes, not months. There's no complicated process, and it's 100% online. There's no medical exam required, and you just answer a few health questions to get a quote in as little as 10 minutes. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos today. Get your free quote at ethos.com/NFL Daily. That's ethos.com/NFL Daily to get your free quote today. Application times may vary, rates may vary. A big thank you to Ethos for sponsoring today's edition of Steelers Talk. So yesterday, Aaron Rodgers had some interesting things to say in his weekly media availability after practice, and I kind of want to share some of those things because I think that they will have some implications not only this week, but down the road here for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So the first question that he took in his media availability is, why is the Pittsburgh Steelers offense this year so tight and heavy? Why are they using heavier personnel packages, all these different things, and what benefits does that bring to this unit? Aaron Rodgers, I thought, had a really good answer to this. He said this, and by the way, it's very similar to what we've been saying on this show. He says, we're playing a lot of 12 personnel because defenses are playing nickel personnel to 12. That's the main reason. If you want to do that, you got to run the ball effectively, and that opens up some of the passing game. And that's absolutely correct, guys, because, when you play heavier personnel packages there, you have an advantage if defenses come out in nickel like the Minnesota Vikings did against this team in Ireland. So I think that is absolutely correct, and it's coming right from the horse's mouth there, why the Pittsburgh Steelers are kind of adopting this philosophy and why it's working at this point. And the second question that Aaron Rodgers took here is, why aren't you throwing the ball deep down the field? And we've kind of explained why this has been the case on this show in past videos, but this is Aaron Rodgers kind of parroting what we've been saying on this channel for weeks now. Teams are playing cover two, so if you're playing cover two, there's not going to be a ton of big shots down the field. Until we get them in one high, it's going to be precision passing and short of the sticks. And once again, Aaron Rodgers is 100% right about this. When you play two high safety coverages and, you kind of try and take away the deep passing game, it's going to be very difficult to throw the ball down the field without putting the ball in harm's way. So Aaron Rodgers playing very smart, playing very efficiently, precision passing game, getting the ball to his playmakers out in space. But as I put out in a video a couple of days ago, I think things are about to change because the Steelers are using a lot of heavy personnel packages, which I think is going to get these teams into more single high coverages. And as Aaron talks about, once they go to those single high coverages, you can open up some of the more play pass, and you can start doing more drop back passing game stuff, throwing the ball down the field. So I think that we're going to see a little bit of a shift in the Steelers passing game in the weeks to come because of the jumbo personnel packages with Spencer Anderson in there. And Aaron Rodgers actually hinted that Spencer Anderson could be getting an opportunity to catch a pass this week. So once we're in the red zone, keep your eye on Spencer Anderson, who is eligible as a tight end in their jumbo personnel packages, by the way, to get an opportunity in the red zone. This is what Rodgers had to say about Spence. I love Spence in the huddle. I'd love to throw him a touchdown pass. He's got pretty good hands. Now, this could actually be a decoy as well. Maybe he's saying this, hoping that the Browns see this, and, maybe they do a little bit of misdirection. That would be high-level 4D chess being played by Aaron Rodgers right there, but certainly would love to see the big man, Spencer Anderson, get involved and do a little bit more of those quote-unquote tight end duties by catching some passes. Plus, Aaron addressed his new helmet. He's wearing a Visus helmet for practice this week, and I think many people assume that this is just going to be his new helmet moving forward, but maybe that's not exactly going to be the case because it was the final question that he took in his media availability yesterday where he said this: I'm just trying out different things, but I'll probably go back to my original helmet. So that bucket helmet that we know and love with Aaron Rodgers, if you're upset that he's trying out the Visus helmet in practice this week, say don't worry about it, guys. It certainly sounds like Rodgers is probably going to be going back to that old, air shut model that he's been wearing for quite a while. He has to get a different face mask to make it legal to play in National Football League games, and he doesn't like it because he says it makes it look like a spaceship and all these different things. But certainly the helmet that I think that he's the most comfortable in right now. So who knows? Maybe he'll wear the Vices. Maybe he'll get more comfortable with it as the week goes on and all these different things, and maybe he makes a switch some point this season. But Rodgers' comments here certainly makes it seem like the bucket isn't going anywhere anytime soon. Now, before I talk about TJ Watt, and that's TJ Watt stat that you guys should absolutely know about, make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon if you are enjoying today's show. If you enjoy the in-depth content that we provide for you guys on the Pittsburgh Steelers every single day and you're already subscribed, the best way to help out our channel is to click that thumbs up icon. The more people that like the video, the more YouTube is going to suggest this video to people that haven't watched our show before, which gets new eyeballs on the channel, which leads to more subscribers. So if you want to help us grow the channel and you're already subscribed, clicking that thumbs up icon really does help us out. So something that you guys should know as Steelers fans is that TJ Watt, all right, the newly highly paid edge rusher here for the Pittsburgh Steelers, currently leads the NFL in chip blocks by a very wide margin with 62 on the year thus far. I got this information here from Matt Williamson. He's a great follow on Steelers Twitter, by the way. Go follow Matt. But he says TJ Watt has faced a league-high 62 chip blocks on 131 pass rushes this season. That's 47.3% of his snaps, nearly 20 more than the next closest defender in Myles Garrett with 44. Now, there is a very good reason why TJ Watt gets more chip blocks than maybe true double or triple teams, or something that maybe Myles Garrett gets a little bit more of. But TJ usually likes to win on the outside. He is a speed rusher through and through. Most of the ways that he likes to win is with ghost moves on the outside, cross chops. He likes to win with pure speed and bend around the corner. He can win on the inside with inside counters, but it's not his preferred way to win. And teams that go up against the Pittsburgh Steelers know that. So they know by putting a tight end out there or by having a running back run out there and kind of chip him on the outside, it's going to alleviate his ability to win with the way that he usually likes to beat people on the outside. And they also know that TJ Watt, if you put him out one-on-one, there's almost no right tackle on the face of the planet that can stop his true speed rush, even at his age. His get-off is still fantastic. Of course, the technical proficiency that he plays with some of these outside moves, the ghosts and the dips and especially the cross chop, they are world class. So this is why when TJ Watt is one-on-one on the outside, he is practically unstoppable. So teams know they have to chip block him in order to alleviate his impact on the football game. And, what I want Steelers fans to understand about this is the big picture element and the benefit that provides for the rest of the Steelers defense. All right, the attention that Watt gets, if you have a Myles Garrett, if you have a TJ Watt, if you have a Micah Parsons, and you have somebody that's consistently drawing chip help and double teams, that's going to provide one-on-one opportunities for the rest of the defensive line. It's also going to mean a better pass rush as a whole, which helps out the secondary. It just has a ripple effect against, for the rest of the Steelers defense that just absolutely benefits the entire group, not just the defensive line. And it really does benefit, probably more than anybody else, the edge rusher on the other side of TJ Watt, because guys like Nick Herbig and Alex Highsmith get one-on-one opportunities very consistently. And as we've seen from Nick Herbig over the last few weeks, man, he has been one of the most disruptive edge rushers in football because he's been able to benefit from those one-on-one opportunities very consistently. He's got 2.5 sacks, 4 TFLs, a forced fumble, and an interception. And remember, he missed the early part of the season with an injury, all right? So it's not like he's had a full workload yet, and he's still putting up this kind of numbers. And, even some people are arguing that Nick Herbig has been playing better than TJ Watt, just because, the efficiency numbers and stuff like that have been slightly higher than TJ Watt's at this point. But the argument here is completely dependent on Nick Herbig getting those one-on-one opportunities. All right. TJ Watt opens up all those one-on-one opportunities for Nick Herbig. Now, Herbig's still an excellent player. Don't get me wrong. And he still has to win against some of the best left tackles that the National Football League has to offer in one-on-one situations. But, the frank reality, guys, is that if Nick Herbig was the one getting chip blocked every single play and TJ Watt was the one benefiting when he was getting the one-on-one opportunities, he would be going absolutely bananas. He would be winning almost every single rep against the right tackles that he would be facing. So not only is TJ Watt having an impact on the stat sheet while getting these chip blocks and all these different things, he's still, TJ Watt, and he's still making an impact on the football game, but it's allowing other players to have a big impact on the game as well. Guys like Cam Hayward, who consistently gets one-on-one opportunities. Nick Herbig, who consistently gets one-on-one opportunities. Keanu Benson, who had a hell of a game against the Minnesota Vikings, getting consistent one-on-one opportunities. So I look at the TJ Watt kind of effect on this defense, and, I would say TJ Watt over the last several seasons has been one of the main reasons why this defense has been one of the most, one of the most prolific in the National Football League over the last several seasons, especially when it comes to turnovers, all right? Putting pressure on quarterbacks obviously leads to more turnovers and more interceptions, but also his ability to get strip sacks and Nick Herbig's ability to get strip sacks and everybody's ability to kind of get to the football is increased because of the impact that TJ Watt has on the field. And sometimes I think that he doesn't get the credit that he deserves for the impact that he does have on the rest of the unit. So I wanted to bring light to that today. So where are you guys at? Let me know down there in the comments section. Are you happy that the Pittsburgh Steelers paid TJ Watt that contract at this point in time? Or do you think they overpaid for him? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. I think it was a good signing. Still, guys, let me know your thoughts, yes or no, down there in the comment section. And that'll be it for today's edition of Steelers Talk, guys. But Ponzi and I will be back later this afternoon, 5 p.m. Eastern time for Steelers Talk Live. We're going to have a bunch of great stuff to talk about on today's show, so you're not going to want to miss that. Make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already to join the largest individually run Steelers news program anywhere on YouTube. We're so close to 100,000 subscribers, guys. We're probably going to hit it by the end of the week. So I just want to thank you guys so much for all of your support. I'll see you guys next time. And until then, guys, here we go, Steelers.